Hey guys, it's Sunday night, and that means it's time for another episode of the M Cluster. I'm Slider, and I'm your sick host for the evening. Tonight we've got Brandon,
Hey
and
guys.
we're going to be discussing the Transformers, which is his pick. So we're going to go ahead and let Brandon do the lead in.
Hi guys. Hopefully most of you have seen Transformers, but if you're not, it was done in 2007. At least that was the start of the new series. It was directed by Michael Bay and stars Shia LaBeouf, or LaBeouf, however you'd like to pronounce that. Overall, Transformers, I feel, was a very well done movie for this generation. Obviously, there are a couple little issues that people have. Um, Probably the biggest for me being Megan Fox. Yay, she's hot, but she didn't do any decent job as an actress for the movie. Um, it just seemed like she was there, but really, I think that's my only personal uh, issue with the movie. Outside of that, it was a very fun movie. You got to see all the Transformers fighting. Uh, the way they, the way Michael Bay directed these scenes for uh, showing how they transformed the first time was phenomenal. Um, great work there. Uh, it's I guess the main antagonist and protagonist for the Transformers would be Megatron and Bumblebee are the two major players for the good guys, and then for obviously the bad guys, Megatron and Starscream are the main two there. Uh, how do you feel about Starscream, Slider?
Um, Starscream was not the slimy little character that I would have liked him to be. That he was in the original cartoon.
Right.
Um, I think they did a decent job. Some people complained about him being an F-22 instead of an F-15, but that's just a thing of the times, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things they did in this film was the characters did not have they were not trapped to one shape. They could actually scan and uh, change their form. So I had no problem with that at all. One thing you made a mistake. You said Megatron twice when you meant to say Optimus Prime.
Oh, yes, I did. Sorry.
So, but Optimus Prime was probably one of my favorite childhood characters. Um, and first of all, the movie itself, I didn't dislike it. I mean, it. I made this comment last time. It's giant robots beating the shit out of each other, right? So it's fun. But I don't believe Michael Bay did justice to the original story. There was actually a lot of story involved in the Transformers. It was one of the first series that I, as a child, actually got invested in the characters because of who they were, not just because they were cartoons.
Right.
Um, and but the fact that they brought back the original voice of Optimus Prime was just a super good touch on their part. The first time I heard him transform and say, "I am Optimus Prime," I was right back to being a little kid. I was so excited. And the movie is visually stunning. Um, Getting to see a real life representation of my childhood, you know, icons, basically is just such a big rush for me. And I appreciate that they brought this movie to the screen. I don't think it was a good movie though. It was a fun movie. It was enjoyable. I will watch probably all of them that come out. But Michael Bay sucks as a storyteller. He's an action guy. I enjoy his action in his movies, but I don't believe he did the story justice. And they also kowtowed to Hasbro a little bit in inserting uh, taglines from the cartoon. And while I don't have a problem with that necessarily, what I do have a problem with is that they did it in such a way that felt forced. Like when he's like, when he says to Megan Fox, "Oh, I just think there's more to you than meets the eye." You know, and I think there was more story than Michael Bay told. You
Well,
know,
I would say there's definitely more story, but some of the taglines, I mean, I think had to be there. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been. I'm just saying he did a poor job of working them in. Um, it just. I'm not a big fan of Shia LaBeouf as a leading man. I think he's a great side character. One of the movies I really liked him in was Constantine, where he played the sidekick for John Constantine. Um, but as a leading man, he's just not really impressed me so far. And them doing the geeky, nerdy, not so popular guy and the super hot, prom queen thing, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't part of the original story. It's just something that they did to appease the masses. Um, you know, and it's formulaic, it's cheesy, and Megan Fox is not that great of an actress. And frankly, I don't think she's that good looking. I think she's a little fugly sometimes. Um, I mean, she's got a great body and all, but
I think Shia LaBeouf did better in the following movies than the original movie. Um, I think you see more to the character, obviously in those two movies because he's growing up, and well, by the time the third one comes around, an adult.
well,
Um,
yeah, he's definitely evolved as an actor. I will say that. But if you look at the character that they're trying to bring in from the original cartoon, it was Spike. And Spike was a little boy. He wasn't a teenager. There wasn't all this angst behind it.
that wouldn't be
Um,
cool though. That I mean, would you, as an adult now, would you want to go watch a movie where where a 10-year-old is a lead actor?
well, it depends on the actor. I mean, there have been lots of movies where you've had a child actor that does a good job. Now,
Right,
in this
but not
particular story,
no,
it's
those
not
child actors though don't usually portray the main character in an action type movie where it's rated anything more than PG.
right. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm saying is that they what I was trying to do is explain that they tried to modernize it, and in doing so, just did a very formulaic. It doesn't seem like they put a lot of effort into the story, um, and I think if you look at the surrounding cast, I think there are a lot of people that did a much better job than he did. The actress that plays his mother, my goodness, she is hilarious
Yeah.
in what she does, and
Totoro was actually pretty good too. I actually genuinely like his character.
right. Um, so there was a lot of good things in this movie. I just think Michael Bay did a poor job of pulling it all together. Um,
What's well, if that's the case, I mean, what's your opinion on this now fourth one?
it's probably going to be the kind of movie where you want to go in, turn down the volume, listen to some music, and watch the action. Um, you know, I think they've already gone far enough off course that they're not going to be able to bring it back around to the type of story that it was originally.
No,
Um,
but at the same time, I feel that if they did, it would leave it um, too much like a series that would become straight to DVD.
yeah, I could definitely see it being a little B-side ish, but there's a really, really rich background to not just the characters, but to the whole situation. And they sort of just glanced over that whole thing, on about what happened on Cybertron, and why the war occurred, and what it means to be a prime. They've not touched on that at all.
No, but they are getting more involved with it as the series progresses.
Agreed. I did have a bit of a problem with them making a prime uh, the lead bad guy in one of the movies. That was kind of
Yeah.
fucked up.
Well,
Um,
it kind of threw me off when that happened because that wasn't what I was expecting at all.
right. But it also takes away from what the primes truly are. I mean, the primes aren't just you know someone who's a leader. It was all about someone who understood the struggle and knew right from wrong, and knew that sacrifice and hardship was better than enslaving a race to try to make things right. Um, and
'Cause weren't they also built first or created first,
when you
born
say
first?
when you say they, the primes,
Yeah.
yeah, the primes were the original. part the atoms, if you would, the Adam and Eve of the Cybertronian race. Um, so it was a little disconcerting when they did that, and one of the things I did read up on before I got the sniffles here was that Michael Bay was not a fan of the cartoon. You know, and this is just something that I think over and over again we're starting to see people who actually respect the source material
You mean
do
unlike Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I'm sorry.
uh, not
You,
much.
yeah, I know.
I,
Ninja Turtles. I don't even. Anyway, sorry.
I think the very first movie that came up with the Ninja Turtles was fun, and they really should have just stopped there. Um, and I don't see how they're gonna beat that one
Well,
to
it's because
death.
it's Michael Bay, right? That's doing it.
Yeah. Hmm.
And yeah, I heard what he was doing, and I was like, oh, great, you're taking a crap in my childhood,
Yeah. And it just
which I know some people have felt for Transformers.
oh yeah. Again, this is not a good film. It's not true to the story. It's not a great story. It's not captivating. It's a beautifully shot, well constructed special effects movie. And the story is really kind of takes a backseat to all of that. They spent a lot of time uh, making sure that this movie was visually stunning and not enough time on the actual story itself.
Well, he changed it up a little in the third movie, though. There was a lot of story there.
In the third movie, there is a lot of story. Unfortunately, it's not that good. you know,
It was cool to see all the everyone die, but
yeah.
I really did think for a minute there that Bumblebee was going.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people had complaints about was Bumblebee himself being a Camaro instead of a Volkswagen.
Oh, good grief! Who
Yeah,
cares?
I actually did not have a problem with that. I really liked the way they did the story of how he ended up being the car that he is. Um, what I didn't understand was the point of making him not being able to speak. It was they explained it's like, oh, his vocal processor was damaged. Okay, well,
Well, except for the very end of the first movie where he did speak and then didn't speak throughout the rest of the series.
right. Um,
It's like, okay.
yeah, it was like a running gag that they forced into it, and it just, I don't know, didn't seem to work for me.
However, while it doesn't necessarily make sense why he couldn't speak in the second and third movies, if he definitely could, at least those few words at the very end of the first one, I think they would have had time to repair it. But I think it actually added to his character that he could not speak.
I don't know. It seemed to me like it was a running gag of him using radio transmissions to put sentences together, and
I think it would have been a little odd to have him have his own voice.
in what respect? What would have made that odd?
Some of the things that were said that made him so likable as a character wouldn't have been present. Him having to use radio patterns and waves to say what he wanted to say, especially when the serious moments came. Um, I think that just having his own voice would detract from that. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I understand where you're coming from, and maybe you're right. And maybe they could have done something a little different, like made it come and go. But it just seemed like they're this super advanced race who can scan a vehicle and become it, but they can't fix his vocal system. I mean,
Yeah.
that was just it was a little silly. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's why I said that. Like it is doesn't make sense there. But well, what did you think of some of the Transformers that got killed off? I know
Jazz.
I want to say I know my girlfriend was upset when Jazz got it.
Not just that he got it, how he got it. Megatron rips him in half.
It was pretty brutal. It was also awesome seeing though.
Yeah, it was a good scene, and I was a little surprised that they didn't work some kind of movie magic and bring him back. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that they didn't do that. I'm glad that they didn't do it, even though I like the character.
Well, why not? I mean, his supposedly, if it's according to the story and how they work, his AllSpark should have been intact.
Right. So yeah, there's not a lot of. They have no excuse for not bringing him back, but I like that they didn't, because then there's no sacrifice, there's no cost to the battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I didn't like, and Jazz was definitely colorful in the cartoon series, but he was obnoxious in the movie a little bit. Just like that's crack-a-lackin', they tried to make him I don't know, too relatable in my opinion. And they did the same thing in the second movie with the stupid twins.
However, even though they were really stupid and annoying, one line and one scene made it okay for me.
Which one?
When he said, "I would knock your teeth out," and he actually did and burst through. When he was eaten up by the, what's his face?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about now. It was
like that scene was hilarious. I thought that made those characters worth it just for that scene.
I'm not going to say they didn't have some funny moments, but overall they were just an irritant. And they never really. The other thing they don't ever do in any of the movies so far is explain where the other Autobots are. It's like every movie, new Autobots show up. Well, where the hell were they? What were they doing? I know there was a search going on, but where were they searching? How did they get in touch with it? There's a whole lot of stuff in the background that just gets dropped off. They don't refer to it at all. And that's something that I just have a little bit of a problem with. I really would have liked someone else to have handled this movie. Maybe in conjunction with Michael Bay. Get his special effects, get his action experience, but let somebody else who knows the story and cares about the story actually tell the story. One of the things that I didn't quite understand about the film is the arc, and not just the one story, but the arc that they've sent Shia LaBeouf's character on. He's gone from the misfit kid in high school to the, I don't know, kind of awkward but popular guy in college to something of a failure in life. He's like, "Oh, I've saved the world, and you want me to be, work in the mailroom," kind of thing. I don't know. I'd like them to see them do something more with his character, where he's involved with it as part of the team,
as he should be.
As he should be, yes. And
I like how everyone always denies him the ability to go and help out, and he ends up saving them all the time.
Right. And I've had enough of that. Just make him part of the team. Let him be a character that helps in making the decisions and, expresses the moral quandaries involved. And
hopefully they do that with the fourth one. Do you think? What did you think in the third one about? God, what's the actor's name? Wash from Firefly.
Oh, he was hilarious. Again, they didn't give him a whole lot of background story, but he didn't need it because he was this, ex-soldier of fortune, pretty much, who was trying to change his ways, and he was just so funny the way he handles himself, and when he snaps and takes out the whole group of people. And
that was nuts.
Yeah, that was awesome though. And then he was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, this isn't me." I really enjoyed the way they did that. And again, I enjoyed those characters more than I enjoyed the main characters, because it seems like they put more effort into those characters. It
depends on the actors too. I mean, he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he is. He's a great actor. And I would like to see a more focused, like, there's a storyline where right before Optimus Prime hands over the leadership spark to Rodimus Prime, where Spike thinks the Autobots are not being completely truthful with him, right? And there's this conflict where they're trying to protect him, and he feels like they're hiding stuff from him uh, because there's something nefarious going on. And I'd like to see something like that, where there is some conflict between him and the Autobots that
There,
has to be
there
resolved.
may. I don't know about that part of it, but I thought it was rumored in the fourth one to have Rodimus and whatever the new one on the bad side is. There was like a didn't Megatron change into something?
Yeah, I can't think of the name right now.
Whatever he changes into.
Yeah, and Rodimus Prime's story is actually really interesting too. Rodimus Prime is like the reluctant leader. He's never wanted to be a leader. So the fact that they haven't introduced him already makes me worry if that's the case. If they're going to try to throw him into the mix in the next movie, because his story, his path to leadership is a long one, and they're going to kill off Optimus Prime if they bring in Rodimus Prime. That's
Yeah.
something they have to do correctly if they're going to honor the material.
They almost did it in the second one.
Oh, but you know what? You brought up something interesting. So Optimus Prime was always weaker than Megatron, and in the first movie, he gets his ass handed to him, just like Optimus Prime is supposed to. But then he must have did some Pilates and took some Taibo or something, because in the next movie, in the opening sequence, he's a fucking badass. He's taking out Decepticons left and right. It's like, where the hell did this Optimus Prime come from? Where was he in the last
He
movie?
has the Allspark.
You know,
You agree to that because in the Transformers series, maybe not back in the original series, but some of the ones that I watched when I was a kid, um, they kept getting things that would give them new abilities and make them stronger. Like there was a sword, there was a shield, um, there was something else too. I don't remember what it was, but like all these different items, or whatever, would make them stronger. So I thought of it just as okay, the Allspark is what's making Optimus stronger now.
yeah. Except that's the film where pretty much he's dead for most of the movie.
Yes, because while he was stronger and was able to do that, he did take too many on.
And it,
But
it
then
was
came
just
back and absolutely dominated.
yeah, it was a very jarring change for the character, um, and I felt like they didn't focus on the teamwork, which is something that was a big theme in the cartoon because it was for kids, right? You know, but everything that happens action wise is always an individual effort. There's no real coordination or teamwork. Um, even in the big battle scenes, all the battles are one on one.
Yeah.
You know, um, I think the closest thing to teamwork is in the first movie when Optimus Prime is hiding under the bridge and uh, Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox fall and Bumblebee catches them. But um, one of the things was they actually did it in the first one was the Autobots roll out, right? Well, that was his tagline for when they had a plan and they were going to put it in motion. You know,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
and,
remember that.
and there was none of that in the film, in any of the films, really. I've never seen them make a plan and execute it. I've seen a little bit of it's like, all right, you two stay here. This guy's gonna go over there and do this, but they don't. It's almost like a side thing. It's not part of what they really are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so uh, it's just, I think they took the cheap way out on a lot of things in this movie because it was so good looking. It was so fun to watch. It was uh, they seem to think that it would do that on its own merits. That was enough to carry the film, and I would like to see more. I would like to see, again, I'd like to see more story with Shia LaBeouf's character and the Autobots and how they interact with each other, because it's a very unusual relationship right now. At first, it was almost like forced in the first movie. Like, he had something they wanted, until
Yeah.
they come around at the end where where Bumblebee says, "I want to stay with the boy." Then in the second movie, it's almost like he doesn't want the relationship. They've got this whole like rebellion thing going on. He's like, you can't be part of my life. I'm in college now and I'm normal, and you know, and all that stuff. And then in the third movie, he's like, I'm so plain and I should be more, and it's just it's weak sauce in my opinion. Uh, I'd like to see them do a little bit more. Just show me an effort. Show me an effort, and I'll be happy. Even if they don't get it quite right.
Well, do you know before Shia LaBeouf signed back on? Do you know who was being asked, or at least rumored to be asked, to do the fourth one?
No,
Um, oh God, now I'm trying to think of his name. Uh, Bald guy does Transporter.
Jason Statham.
Yes, Jason Statham.
Oh, I don't know that I'd see that. I don't know that I'd watch that movie because I like Jason Statham, but he makes some really bad choices in the films that he makes. The first Transporter was bearable. All the other ones are bleh. And he's not a bad actor. I've seen him in other things like Layer Cake and Snatch, and he's a good actor. I really enjoy his performance, and I like his action, but he's just been in some really weak stories.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'd like to see more. I expect more from something like this. I think these companies need to realize that they are dealing with the cherished childhood properties of many of the adults now, who are the consumers, who are the money spenders. So respect us a little bit more. Respect the stories a little bit more. That's all I'm asking for. And I'm glad it's happening. I'd like to see more of it. Just get better at it. Any final thoughts on that?
No, if you haven't seen it, crawl out of your rock or cave or wherever you've been hiding and go see it. It's definitely a very watchable movie, even if the story background is not all there.
Agreed. And again, it's visually stunning. It's totally worth the watch. If you're not a Transformers fan from way back when, you shouldn't have too much of a problem with it. But if you are, it's still worth seeing. I mean, Optimus Prime. Come on, it's Optimus Prime on screen, looking all real. It's just goosebumps. So, on that note, we're going to go ahead and select our new film, and we got Paige this time. And she's kind of a creeper. So let's go ahead and roll the bingo cage of destiny. There you go. Let's see what we got here. Alrighty, so we have N35.
Okay.
Let's see what that is. Or Brandon, what is it? You tell me. You're the one that's got on the list.
I'm gonna go with you.
Okay. Oh, hey, this is something different. So we have been planning on bringing some new people on and trying to get the mix up a little bit. So we've got our very first extra person. This is Prometheus.
Oh, sweet.
And it's Amina Marx's choice. So that means that she should be with us on the next show. So we'll be able to discuss the pros and cons of the new prequel to the Alien series.
Well, it's debatable whether you want to call it a prequel, but we'll save that for next time.
All right. So on that note, on behalf of Paige, Brandon, Dante in the background, we're going to say that's a wrap.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe Or if you want to follow along with our antics when we're not in front of the camera, you can check us out on our social media pages on Facebook, Google+, or Twitter by searching for the M Cluster. Or you can leave comments in the field below. Or you can send us an email or give us a call. Heck, you can even write us a letter. Or you could buy us dinner. Or you could buy us a car. That would be awesome. Or you could send us on vacation. Or get us an Emmy. Ooh, a Tony. If you could get us a Tony, that would